So awesome. So welcome back to Thinking Outside the Bank. I am with my special guest today, Kathie Sonner. We are actually at the Owners Club retreat here in Monterey, California. So excited to get to chat with her a little bit today and bring her on Thinking Outside the Bank, where we not only are going to touch on some creative finance, but also, of course, how when life throws you challenges, how ultimately people get creative and face those challenges on an everyday basis. So excited to have you on, and would you like to introduce yourself just a little bit?
Thank you, Trevor. My name is Kathie Sonner. I am a second-year OC, an OG OC, and I live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for all the listeners out there, I think we're actually trading podcasts today. So kind of exciting to do an in-person podcast. Both of us pretty much do them all on Zoom and have gotten a chance to connect with other Owners Club members. So always excited for that. But I kind of want to start off with that and ultimately hear a little bit about your background and kind of what you do. But kind of what spurred you to start your podcast and kind of the premise of getting yourself to kind of think creative and how you're utilizing that for your benefit in business and real estate.
Awesome. All right. That's a loaded question. This is going to take a minute. Well, when I came to Owners Club last year, I felt like the smallest person in the room. I had imposter syndrome and wondered if I had made the right choice because I saw all these high-level people all around me. They knew exactly what they wanted and where they were going, or at least that was the perception I had in the room. And Pace had told us specifically a year ago this month, like, start a podcast, like, let people get to know you, you get to know other people. And at that time, I was not able to do that. I didn't have the confidence to do it. I was like, what am I going to talk about? I don't know enough yet. You know, all of the things you think in the moment. And I'll encourage anyone who is resonating with those feelings right now, you know more than you think you do. And you know even more than the general public. So just start, because once you start and you get into action, then the confidence comes. And that's really apparent in my YouTube channel. I've done 23 interviews of 26 people because 3 of those interviews were couples. And through that process, from my very first one, which was very awkward, at least I see it as awkward when I watch it. However, by, 19, 20, 21, I had a really good rapport going, felt much more at ease with the camera and all of the things. So with that, just at Squad Up in 2025, decided when I met one of the new Owners Club members, James Chavez, was the first person I invited to my new podcast. Actually, I didn't say new. I just said, James, you've joined Owners Club. How exciting. Congratulations. Can I interview you for my podcast? And James is like kind of deer in the headlights a little bit, but he played along and he said, yeah, sure. He told me later that he thought, what the heck am I going to talk about on her podcast? Yeah. But for me, it was a very poignant moment because I was inviting him to a podcast that didn't exist yet. When I got home, I knew that there were people relying on me to follow through on what I said I would do. And I am a person that when I say I will do something, I will follow through, and I couldn't let them down. Therefore, I did a little travel when I came home from Squad Up. So that was the end of March. I went to Thailand in April. And when I got back, my first episode aired on May 7th. And I had 3 subscribers on YouTube. So when I came here to this Owners Club retreat this week, I was up to 93 subscribers, and I had achieved 23 videos posted. So, yeah, it feels good. It feels really good. And walking in here this year at this immersion retreat, it's so different than our first immersion last year, where everybody was still kind of getting to know everyone. I was very quiet. I didn't connect nearly as much as I could have last year. So this year, really being intentional with connecting, and the podcast has allowed me to connect with more people, know what others are up to. And when I walked in the room this year, people knew me, which felt really awkward at first, but very welcoming as well. So that it just makes you feel like, you belong. And that really, there's so much value to just putting yourself out there and moving through the fear and just making it happen. creating something that didn't exist.
That's great.
Yeah.
So from what I gathered from that is you kind of held your own feet to the fire by starting to invite people and then ultimately having to answer the call when people were like, okay, I want to be on your podcast. And all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I actually have to do this thing. And I think the other thing I kind of heard from that too is you were a little shyer last year, and I'm first year OC, so kind of looking up to some of you who've been here for a year, but I consider myself an action taker and one that really talks when we say closed mouths don't get fed. You started opening your mouth, you started asking for help, you started saying, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and boom, all of a sudden, I was in the room today when you got shouted out by Pace, and everybody was on their phone, and I'm watching your subscribers just go through the roof because you stood up and you said, hey, I made a mistake. I didn't ask for the thing. Now I'm asking you all to do it, and all 500 people in the room were on there subscribing. So props to you for that, especially because that's definitely that's been my motivation. I've about to be on your podcast, and we'd interacted about this and talked this last week, and I was actually on Adam Colburn's as well, and that was the spark that kind of lit me and said, I'm doing this too. I've got stuff to share. I would love to interview people, and I thrive off of connection with other people within Owners Club, and truthfully, this is why I kind of created this as well. So I want to kind of pivot and kind of segue of that is.
Can I mention something
Sure.
about there was a YouTube burst this morning in the room when I did stand up and ask for help. Lesson learned, when there is a burst of subscribers, YouTube will think it's a bot and remove them. So I was at 93, I shot up to 291 subscribers, and within 10 minutes I was back down to 160. So if you're ever going to do a burst of subscribers coming onto your channel, make sure that they like a couple videos, maybe play a video, comment on some things so that it's not tracked as a bot. You'll be able to retain more of the burst at that time.
That is good for me, who is still waiting for their first subscriber as I start to post videos this week. So you'll be one of the first ones posted. So good tip for all the listeners out there as well. So go like this and obviously subscribe to it as well. But so I want to kind of pivot and segue, obviously, thinking outside the bank, and I mentioned this to you prior, not only creative real estate, obviously we talked about Owner's Retreat. I'd love to kind of hear a time in your life that life, God, whatever you want to call it, a higher power threw you a curveball, and how you were able to respond and ultimately think creatively and kind of get yourself out of that situation and or make it a positive where others might have considered it a negative.
Yeah, actually, I'll take you back to The Big Short of 2008, 2009. I was raising 4 children on my own. I have 3 daughters. I was raising my niece as well. After a 20-year marriage, got 0 alimony and 0 child support. And because of The Big Short, the economy tanked. My business at that time went away. So I was literally left with nothing, and I had a monthly house payment of like $3,500 a month. So I stopped making my house payment, didn't pay my property taxes, thought I was going to lose my house. And so I took what I had, and I was so concerned about being able to support my girls and to keep them in their same school zone. So my 2 olders were fine. They were old enough. They weren't affected, but my 2 littles, I actually went down the street and I rented a condominium across the street from their school to make sure that we would still be in the same school zone when my house got foreclosed. That simple act it gave me such relief that I didn't worry about the house anymore. And I think that's how the magic happened, because I was no longer stressing about where I was going to live with my children. And as God, universe, source, whatever that means to you, has his way with things, a couple months later, I hadn't made my house payment, but I got a phone call, and this guy named Jerome, and I hung up on him twice. He wanted to modify my house, and I was like, no, everybody's getting ripped off with that. I know friends who lost money. And Jerome's like, he called me back a 3rd time. I'd hung up on him twice. And the 3rd time he said, Kathie, my name is Jerome. I swear to God, I work at Wells Fargo. Please don't hang up on me. I want to help you. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. What do you got? Okay. He was able to take me from, I was in one of those bad loans, I was in a 6% interest only with $120,000 second. I was paying $3,500 a month, and my rate was about to adjust and make it even worse. And no question why I stopped making the payment, besides not having money to pay the payment. However, it took him about 6 months, and he called me and said, I have got you a 2% loan fixed for 40 years. Don't let this go. I was like, what? He said, and the second, by the way, didn't wait for the first, even though they were both Wells Fargo, didn't wait for the first to modify, and they had already written off the debt. It was the one time in history that you didn't have to claim that as income.
Wow.
The government forgave all of those loans. So it was miraculous, truly miraculous what happened and what occurred. So yeah, I went from a 6% interest only, paying $3,500 a month. I had a $120,000 loan reduction, went to a 2% interest only, amortized over, principal and interest amortized over 40 years. So my house payment dropped down to $1,495, which was the exact amount I had been paying on the condo that I rented and never moved into. So upswing, I got a job, I let the condo go, never had to move my girls out of the house. Everything was chill, stayed in the house. I mean, it was so miraculous. It was just like, how did this even happen? To add to that last week when Jerome called me and told me that he had that interest rate locked in for me, my neighbor called and said, did you know your house is being auctioned on Monday? I had no idea. And so I called Jerome and he said, just make sure you sign those papers today, because in the state of California, there's a 3-day right of rescission. So they have to wait 3 full days before they can file it with the county. And so we had just enough time. That was, I think, a Tuesday. So I signed on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was our 3-day right of rescission. It got filed Monday morning just before the auction. That's how close it was. Talk about sliding into home plate.
I mean, that's a crazy situation. I hear people talk about the 2008 crash all the time, but you lived it. And you fought for what you believed in, and that was taking care of your family. And as a family man themselves who has an 8 and a 7-year-old now, I was trying to put myself in your shoes and how I could think creatively to get out of that. And I think ultimately that was your action or your lack of inaction and just saying, oh, well, I'll figure it out. You went and you purchased a condo, so at least, hey, okay, I've forgotten about the house. I'm going to move into the condo. Yeah. But you took that action that would at least still keep your girls there. And I think that was the perfect action that somehow, again, the universe, God heard you and was like, you know what, Kathie, just because of your faith and your faithfulness through that act, I'm going to reward you. And a lot of people may have just panicked or written it off and played the victim, but not you. You really took life by the horns, and I mean, I commend you on that, because I would love to say I could have done the same thing and act out of that, but truly impressive, and yeah, it's awesome to get to hear that story.
I think for me it was really the surrender to what was happening in the moment and not fighting it energetically, spiritually, physically. I wasn't fighting against the chaos. I was just surrendered to, okay, this is happening. What do I need to do to take care of my girls? And that's all that mattered. So once they were secure and I was secure in having a place to raise them that was going to keep them in as much normalcy as I could for them, that meant keeping them with their friends, with their teachers, things like that, then that full surrender to how life was unfolding, I really believe that that's how I manifested like a solution through the surrender of it. It was listening when he called a 3rd time. Not many people will call 3 times. That was like God ringing a bell.
Yep.
Going, it's like that fisherman that's out on the boat or whatever, and he says, God, why didn't you save me? And he's like, I sent you a ship, a raft, I sent you all these things, and you never picked up. Yep. So 3rd call, I'm going to listen. I allowed that process, and then also just surrendering to what it was going to be and not stressing and having anxiety over it, because a lot of times when we worry about problems, all we end up doing is making them bigger.
Yeah.
So we just let it go and surrender to what is and trust and have faith.
I love that, and I try and follow that too. Is surrender to it and focus on the solution rather than the problem. Because you're right. A lot of times, what we think about expands. So if I'm only thinking about the problem becomes bigger, and I see it in a different light that ultimately allows it to consume me and take me over. Whereas really, what I want to do is focus on the solution. Yeah, there's a problem, but there's always a way to fix it, and the only way we lose at that is if we give up.
Yes.
So I really like, I love a lot of the things and a lot of the things you mentioned there too.
My girls never knew that story. The two younger girls are today 26 and 29 years old, and they still don't know that story.
They don't know the extent of what their mom did to save and get them to stay in that school.
To preserve their childhood, where they enjoyed their childhood, yeah.
That to me is the ultimate sacrifice as a parent. Again, I'm learning every day. I learn with my wife. Thankfully, I have a great support system there. But I mean, you were facing this on your own, you said, correct?
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a testament to you and to your will, which is incredible. I mean, again, and that's every parent's job, right? It's protect their kids, lead the family to, but give them all the opportunities that we never had. And that's what I always look at too. So it's incredible, incredible. So what I want to kind of wrap up with and end with a little bit is also what it is that you do within real estate, how and what you're looking for, but also, what's your favorite way to get creative and your favorite part of creative real estate?
Ooh. I don't know if I have a favorite. I will say I play in 3 sandboxes.
Okay.
I very much love variety, whether it's in life or entertainment or business. I myself have owned and operated multiple businesses. I had a startup that I successfully exited. I am going after this year. I want to acquire 2 new businesses in the mobile home park arena. I have 2 partners here in OC. So we're looking for some bird dogs to bring us some deals for mobile home parks. So that's one of my sandboxes. Another is I'm actually a Sherpa on Matt Starr's BuyTheRate.com team. So I work on his disposition team. I go direct to agent and build those relationships and partnerships with agents for putting buyers into our homes that we have available with financing already in place. Okay. My third is I am in a syndication, multifamily syndication, and this is my Mount Everest. So hotel conversion to multifamily. And with that, we have multiple closings that will occur in the next 4 years. The syndication itself is focused on multiple closings, not just mine. I'm a limited partner in that right now in the syndication. I will eventually become a GP on my own property when the time is right. We have a family office involved, so there's a lot of details and a lot of things going on.
Awesome. So you're involved in a lot of things, and I know we talked about this past week. And I'm again, my Mount Everest is in the RV park space, but we did find some similarities and got a chance to meet actually both of your partners, Patrick and Grant, both here as well that are in that space. So looking forward to hopefully some collaboration with you guys, and doing many things together and seeing you continue to thrive. Obviously, not only in your podcast, but of course through Owners Club and through our continued friendship and partnership as well. So. Yeah. If you haven't seen Kathie's podcast, she has a great one, especially for all you owners out there. If you haven't been on it yet, we're going to put the information below. Please go check her out. Go follow her. Subscribe to her YouTube. We'll put your social media down there as well. If there's anything else you'd like to leave our guests with today, the final parting word or?
Final parting word. Just take action. Whatever it is, you don't know all the answers. You don't have to. Just take action because the path will light up with every step that you take, but if you stay stationary, then the path stays dark.
I love that. And thank you so much for being a guest on Thinking Outside the Bank, Kathie. We really enjoyed having you on. So
thank you.
Awesome.